All right, what do you say, Alex? Ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right, welcome everybody. We're really excited to host this webinar today. We're going to be talking with Alex from Zurich Insurance on how he and their team are leveraging ServiceNow Impact, specifically within our instance observer tooling to maximize and optimize their platform health. So we got a jam-packed full agenda today, so we're going to jump right into it. First things first, we'll take care of some safe harbor business. This presentation may contain some forward-looking statements, so please make your purchasing decisions not upon this particular presentation. Also, a couple other housekeeping items. Please use the Q&A. We're going to have a Q&A section at the end of this presentation, so we want this to be as interactive as possible. If you have a question, drop it in the question section, and we'll make sure to answer those towards the end. This session is being recorded, and it will be made available on the ServiceNow community afterwards. So if you want to share it or take a look back at it, we'll share all those links as well. Also, let's continue to have this conversation in the community. Feel free to head over to the Impact Product Hub on the community at any time to engage with our experts and ask questions. That's where we also put out our release notes and talk about our latest innovations. So definitely check out that Impact Product Hub. And lastly, look out for a survey following this session. We want to hear your thoughts and hear your feedback so we can continuously improve these types of webinars. Awesome. So without further ado, we'll make quick introductions. My name is Jeff Hudak. I am a staff product manager here at ServiceNow, specifically focused on our observability tooling within the Impact platform. And I am joined today by Alex. I'll let Alex introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jeff. My name is Alex Cha, and I have been working with ServiceNow at Zurich Insurance for about 8 years. My main responsibilities include managing the platform across our family of instances, along with managing the development work from our internal and external development teams.
Excellent. And before we jump into the meat of the presentation today, we did want to start with a quick poll question. And we wanted to just gauge the audience and see how you folks are actually tracking the value you're receiving from the ServiceNow platform. So I'd love to get a feel here on how folks are measuring. It looks like the results are starting to come in. Formal metrics and dashboards is taking a quick win. Maybe not having a good tracking mechanism in place. Gut feeling. Okay, kind of mixed results here. We'll give a couple of more seconds for folks to get in and participate into this poll. Again, we're trying to get a feel and understanding for how you are tracking value in your investments into the ServiceNow platform. And hopefully today we'll highlight how the Impact product and specifically Instance Observer can help you accomplish some of these goals. Give it maybe 20 more seconds and we'll pause this. We're slowing on the results. It looks like 50% of folks here might not have the best tracking in place. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about how Impact specifically can help address some of those pain points. But a good 35% are using formal metrics. I think we can go ahead and pause this poll. Looks like we've come to a stopping point here. So again, front runner, maybe not the best mechanisms in place. We'll talk and address that today. Again, if you check out that Impact portal, it also has some great content on how you can leverage that product to start tracking the return on investment within the ServiceNow platform. Okay, so here, let me share these results. Actually, can folks see those results? Thumbs up. All right, back out of this. Excellent. So I'm going to start with a quick video introduction on Impact. So let me just switch over and share a new screen. And we'll start with a quick intro video.
You. 3 little letters that add up to so much more. You are platform owners, system admins, and the C-suite. You have different goals and business outcomes, lofty ambitions and aspirations. You are government agencies, large corporations, businesses that are local, companies global. So let's forget one size fits all and get the right fit for you. We have reimagined your customer journey, a personalized digital experience built on the Now platform, a first of its kind solution for your value acceleration. We have created ServiceNow Impact. See the big picture and track your progress. Get what you need when you need it. From strategic vision to KPIs, personalized content and recommendations at your fingertips to fast forward your results. An Impact Squad with you from day one. Surrounded by experts, take action with confidence. Amplify your bench strength to amplify your expertise. Targeted guidance to drive bespoke business goals. Equip yourself with tools and best practices. Proactive alerts and developer support help prevent issues before they arise. With more free time on your hands, act rather than react and accelerate value to get returns faster. Introducing ServiceNow Impact, helping you to work smarter because when you work, the world works.
Excellent. I tell you what, the content and media teams here never cease to amaze me. These videos are awesome. So hopefully that gets you a good picture on what we're talking about here today. Let me flip back over to our PowerPoint view and we'll jump in straight into this content. So it is my pleasure to talk to you today about Impact and what it's all about. After that quick introduction, hopefully you got a good taste of that. ServiceNow Impact is a value acceleration solution that is designed to maximize your investment within the ServiceNow platform. So for many of those who might have mentioned that you don't have a great way to track that, ServiceNow Impact was built specifically with this in mind. It combines the predictive software and human ingenuity to keep your platform health and your speed to value in a measurable way that you can actually realize your return on investment. It's going to offer personalized insights and recommendations on how to continue to accelerate the platform and continue to innovate on the platform. It has value tracking features. It has industry benchmarking features, provides you with best practices, content, learning, premium technical support, and so much more, all centralized in a beautiful experience that's built and continuously iterated and developed upon directly for you. So today we're going to hear from Alex from Zurich Insurance about how he and his team are using and benefiting from the ServiceNow Impact platform. But before we dive in, just a quick primer or a refresher for those on what Impact is. Again, this is a kind of a new category of software called value acceleration. And really, like, what does that mean? It's a well-known statistic that about 3/4 of all SaaS investments fail to actually deliver return on investments. So you're spending a ton of money on these large-scale transformation projects with little to no way to measure your return on investment. And that's exactly what we've designed Impact to accomplish. A way to accelerate the value for our customers on the Now platform, providing you with the tools and guidance and insights to meet your desired outcomes. And one of the core elements of Impact is actually a product called Instance Observer. Instance Observer is an observability tool that is going to arm you with rich data and insights on your instance's performance, something that has never existed before to this degree and certainly never existed before on a single pane of glass. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this session. And we're going to hear from Alex today, and again, on how he and his team are benefiting from Instance Observer. And then towards the end of this presentation, we'll close off with a product demo. So make sure to stick around for that. You don't want to miss that. So quick review, high level overview on Zurich Insurance and their kind of journey with the ServiceNow platform and specifically Impact. Customer since 2014, a highly customized environment. They've expanded towards many products and applications on the platform, over 100,000 users plus over the course of these several years. With that, obviously, comes a handful of challenges. They were getting complaints and increased complaints following their deployments. They were lacking visibility into performance, and they really, again, were unable to measure the progress that they were making on the platform. So the solution purchased Impact in January of 2023 and began incorporating Instance Observer into their daily activities. The result and the pun intended impact is a 20% improvement on their performance KPIs, 2 times faster in issue troubleshooting and resolution. They are able to become more proactive in their position towards optimization and maintenance on the platform, and have armed themselves with a much more transparent way to present their return on investment and their successes to their leadership teams. So with that, I want to flip it over. Alex, can you talk to us a little bit about the Zurich journey on ServiceNow platform, which products you were focused on to begin with, and to what extent were you customized versus out of the box when you started, and how has that changed over time?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jeff. Well, our journey with ServiceNow started in 2014. We worked together with a third-party partner who assisted us with the onboarding process, mainly utilizing the ITSM suite of applications, including problem, change, and incident management. I joined Zurich a year later in 2015. I was coming from a .NET and Java background. I found ServiceNow developer website to be quite helpful, especially with the ability to utilize a personal development instance. I quickly came to realize that the fields and the layout of our forms and our instance to be quite different than what I saw in the personal development instance. It turns out that the gathered requirements turned ServiceNow into really another version of Remedy, which it replaced in our organization. Instead of reviewing and adjusting our own processes to take advantage of what the tool offers, we customized ServiceNow to adjust our own processes. We quickly came to find out patching and upgrading became more challenging, along with the ability to maintain. So in 2018, our leadership team gave us the opportunity to start from scratch with the Jakarta release. We internally called it the Jakarta Refresh Project, the main goal to be as close to out of box as possible. Oddly enough, from a technical standpoint, there was less development work because we were trying to leave as much of ServiceNow alone. I came to realize that one of the largest challenges came from trying to convince our stakeholders to review and adjust their own established processes to try to fully take advantage of ServiceNow, the way that it was intended to be used. When processes could not be changed, we tried to reach a compromise so that when customizations are to be implemented, that they are done so in the best manner possible. At the moment, we have about 100,000 users logged in within the last year. And from the trends that I'm seeing, it seems like that number continues to grow. More recently, we have brought on the security operations team, utilizing the GRC VR, along with adopting the CSDM guidelines and practices. Jeff, would you be able to go on to the next one?
Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit more about the challenges that came with how you've advanced on the ServiceNow platform. Can you talk to some of the key challenges that your business has faced as you've grown on the Now platform, and how easy or challenging it was for you to monitor specifically the performance or platform health of the instances?
Yeah, so as our user base has grown and at the trends, it looks like it's going to continue to grow, so have the requests to install new application suites. We have also brought on new stakeholders along with the user base who may not be familiar with ServiceNow or with ITIL practices. So when a problem is brought to our attention, we have to convey why we can't simply promote an update to production during the middle of the workday, as it triggers a cache flush and ultimately negatively impacts the user experience for our base. We also have scenarios where configurations may not be implemented in the best way, leading to unnecessary load on the system, along with performance complaints. And I believe on the next few slides, be able to go into how we were able to take advantage of Instance Observer and how we were able to use it to our advantage and ultimately to help out our stakeholders and our user base.
Yeah. before we get there, you guys had an influx of inquiries from customers or from users, kind of reaching out to you and your team. How did that affect you and your team and kind of your day to day?
Well, it presented additional workload that we may not have anticipated. Also, with the requests for specific application suites or specific plugins that we also may not have information or experience with. And so I think if anything, it presented us with a good learning opportunity to identify what are the requests from our user base, what are they looking for, and not just for new stakeholders and new user bases, but also with our existing stakeholders and additional features that they were wanting to take advantage of, as new features of functionalities are made available with each major upgrade.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your current focuses and what you're doing now to monitor performance. Can you talk a little bit about your team's current objectives in light of your increased ServiceNow footprint? I think you had 100,000 plus users across multiple production instances. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so at the moment, or at least at the time, our main objectives with Instant Observe was to be able to monitor the platform in real time, to be able to provide transparency for business stakeholders. With when any performance related issues arise, one of the things that I find to be a true benefit with Instant Observer is before, when we would go into the instance and look at the transactions, look at the nodes and seeing what's being used, I did notice that by doing so, I saw my own username on there with the transaction of the information that I was trying to gather. And so unintentionally, by trying to look into the activities on our system, I was also unintentionally adding onto the load. And I think this may be something that we could get into during the Instant Observer demo. But I think that was just a really nice feature to be able to monitor the performance and the health of our instance without negatively impacting the instance itself.
Yeah, that's a fantastic use case. So now that you guys are leveraging the Instance Observer products on kind of more of a day-to-day, can you share about your decision to actually purchase Impact and the value that you're getting out of it, specifically with Instance Observer, and how it's kind of made your life and your team's life easier in monitoring instance performance?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned before, as our user base has grown, ServiceNow is becoming more and more of a vital application here in Zurich. An example of how we were able to take advantage of Instance Observer is prior to it, we used to promote updates to production every month. And so we would take advantage of a monthly change window to do so. Since adopting Instant Observer, we were able to monitor the usage, the load patterns to identify when, over the course of the week, when is the load on the system at a low point? Meaning, as we have received more and more requests to deploy more frequently, we're able to take advantage of this information and say, between Sunday through Saturday, it seems like Wednesday evenings, for whatever reason, the load on the system was the lowest point of the week. And so with this information, we have since opened up our change windows to allow for a weekly deployment schedule, just instead of a monthly. I'm happy and grateful to say that our leadership team have committed significant resources towards the growth and stability of ServiceNow here at Zurich, and now with the introduction to and participation to the Impact program.
That's fantastic. And I think in a couple of offline conversations, we've talked a little bit about how you've been able to leverage Instance Observer in your sub-production instances, actually using the tool to look at update sets prior to going into production. Can you talk a little bit about how your team is kind of incorporated that into the larger release lifecycle?
Yeah, and so, Instant Observer is not only available for the production instance, but as you mentioned before, we do utilize it to be able to monitor basically all of our instances, and that's just managed by a simple configuration on the site. Whenever we have new plugins that are requested to be installed, our processes is to initially do so on a sandbox instance, and then once things are at a comfortable level, we'll then progress on to installing on our sub-production instances and eventually to production. But during that process, we're able to leverage Instance Observer to see, what are the metrics? How are the activities this week compared to the activities prior to the new activities that we've undertaken? And so just to be able to take, and this may also be something that we could see on a demo, but to get a nice overlay of the activities that have occurred between different time points, that's been really nice and very valuable. It's also something that what I really like, what I enjoy about the tool is not only does it offer metrics and numbers, but also translates that to beautiful looking charts and graphs that we're able to relay that along to our stakeholders and also to our leadership team too, where it's more understandable.
That makes sense. And then one more question here. Instance Observer has an alerting functionality where you can kind of set and configure alerts to more proactively respond to potential issues as kind of a leading indicator to performance. Can you talk a little bit about how you've incorporated the alerting functionality into your day-to-day processes?
Yeah, so prior to we would be more of in a reactive mode as opposed to a proactive mode, and so sometimes we wouldn't even realize there was anything going on unless we were to have automated P2. Rarely, sometimes, but sometimes P1 cases from ServiceNow's monitoring systems. And so once we do receive those emails, we would then be in a reactive mode to see what is going on. What are the new activities that could have possibly added or introduced to allow these performance metrics to be seen. But now we're able to utilize Instance Observer to constantly monitor not just production, but all of our other instances to see, what are the transaction times, what are the average server response times, and so it's something that we've taken into and accommodated into basically our daily routine. When we normally log in and proactively check throughout the day.
That makes sense. And again, when we get into the product demo, we'll be able to show and highlight some of the features and functionality we're discussing right now. So you guys have seen a lot of success. You've adopted this and it's kind of in your day-to-day process. Can you talk to me a little bit about what life was like before Instance Observer on the Impact platform, and then what it's like now? How has your life changed and improved?
Before, there would be monitoring tools that were available within the system. I unfortunately found it a bit challenging to use. It could possibly be due to the size of our instance, the amount of activity in our instance any time of the day, and so it was challenging before. And also with what I mentioned before, with monitoring the active transactions and the active nodes, I was also unintentionally adding load to the system. But with Instance Observer, we're able to take advantage of this new tool to be able to monitor and troubleshoot in a more efficient manner.
That makes sense. 20% plus improvement on performance health KPIs, fantastic stat. 2 times faster troubleshooting. Are there any tools in particular that you're leveraging the most when you're in there kind of looking for kind of issue remediation?
Well, with what you mentioned before about the alerts, that's something that we constantly look into and try to take advantage of and leverage. I would like to say that, probably the most used feature within the tool is just to be able to get a gauge on what the average server response times are, what the average user transactions are. We would, on occasion, receive requests or complaints actually of performance issues, and when we receive those requests, we would go into Instance Observer and to see what are the actual metrics and data that is being reported on the platform or on the system. There'll be times when everything looks fine, and at times the system will be performing even better than expected. And what we come to find out is these other issues that are being ported were more on the client side. With our user base across the globe and with a variety of methods of accessing ServiceNow. Some go through VPN. Um, it's it's difficult to get a good gauge because we're all accessing ServiceNow in a multitude of ways. And so it's nice to be able to present the charts and the graphs and also the data to our stakeholders and also to our business stakeholder or to the affected users to let them know, well, this is what we're actually seeing on the system side. Maybe there's something else, some other variables at play. And so it allows us to enhance the conversation of what are the things that we may possibly look at that may also be unintentionally affecting the experience.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I really appreciate you walking us through that. I want to spend a couple of minutes talking a little bit deeper on Instance Observer. This product was built and created to address the pain points that Alex kind of just walked us through. A lack in visibility into performance. Customers were much more reactive. Their users are filing tickets and complaining about performance issues. This product was built to have a much more proactive stance, being able to tell you and your teams when something is wrong prior to your end users being impacted, and giving tangible information to actually act and resolve those issues. We wanted to enable our customers to be confident in releasing more quickly on the platform so that they can continue to push innovation and not be hesitant to do weekly deployments because of the potential of performance impacts. And also, again, with a data-driven approach to make sure that you know exactly where your team should be investing into enhancing performance across the product. And then finally, just to continue to reduce that operational overhead and the technical debt that just happens while you're going through large-scale software development projects. We needed a way to track progress and ensure that performance was headed in the right direction. And like many posted in that poll, there was a kind of a gap in the ability to actually effectively and efficiently report out on the successes that the teams were having related to platform health. So Instance Observer was created to directly address these pain points. And hopefully you've been able to take away how it has drastically improved the lives of Alex and the teams over at Zurich. The key features and products that are built and delivered through Instance Observer have all of these key issues in mind, whether it's the ability to set self-service alerts to be, again, proactive in monitoring server response time or user transactions or job queues, our performance charts where you can kind of go in and see at a real-time glance at how your performance is performing or how your instance is performing at that moment in time, and then how it's performed over time. The reporting functionalities to provide those clean dashboards for executive report outs. Triage in the event that something does go not according to plan. Tools are built directly into the product to allow you to pinpoint exactly where those problems lie and allow you to much more rapidly resolve those issues. And then again, visualizing these trends over time so you can make sure that you're continuously improving on the actual platform itself. One of the unique characteristics that Alex touched on is that this is actually an off instance application. So there's no dependency on your instance being up and live for you to gain access to all of the telemetry that's made available through the product. In addition to that, there's no additional load that's put on your system while you're doing any sort of reporting or troubleshooting. Again, it's a completely off instance product, which is one of the unique characteristics of this feature. So without further ado, let's switch over and actually jump into the software. I know everyone wants to see what we've been talking about this whole time. So I've logged in here to Instance Observer. You can navigate to this particular feature directly from the Impact portal. There are links in the platform health upon the monitor page. You can single sign on here, or you can navigate directly to the product URL. This is the first page you'll land on. This is the dashboard, high-level overviews of performance and KPIs on your instances. You'll have the ability to view all of your instances, like Alex mentioned earlier. In this demo environment, we just have one set up here today. Instance availability. Are we up? Are we down? How are things looking across the farm? Do we have any alerts that need to be immediately addressed? Those monitoring alerts are the ones that ServiceNow is going to do proactively on your behalf. The self-service alerts we'll talk about here in a minute are the ones that you can configure across your instances, and you have the ability to manipulate and configure the thresholds on when you want to be alerted upon which specific data points. And then finally have some information on the cluster details, etc. But let's jump over to one of the probably the most highly used reports. And Alex, this is probably where you might start your day on our daily performance metric report. High-level KPIs on the particular instance on how things are performing right now at this moment in time. So you can see here across the board, we're looking pretty good. Instances up. I have a couple of notifications on standby lag anomalies and response time anomalies. So as the platform owner or sysadmin, I might want to hone in on these as I continue to work my way through, my daily checks here. We also have some additional health checks down below on transaction counts compared to yesterday and compared to the last 30 days. We're highlighting the top 10 slow transactions at this moment in time, top 10 slow queries at this moment in time, and also the top 10 longest running jobs. So if you have a frequent job that is running long, it might show up here, or in the event that you have one that should have already been completed, again, you'll be able to see the top 10 longest running and the duration that it has been running. And then finally, if you have any open critical support cases with Now Support, those are going to show up here and the state in which those are currently in. So let's take a look. We mentioned that this response time might be an issue or a potential warning flag that we wanted to look into. So if I go over to the performance dropdown, this is where I'm going to have the ability to really deep dive into these various data points across these performance indicators on our instance. So let's go into the transaction and response time. I can select the instance in which I want to run this report against. I can select the date range that I want to look at. If I want to compare this to last week or the moving average, I have some options that I can continue to play with to really expand out the capability of the data that we'll see. Key performance indicators listed up top. On this one, we can see user transaction count with how this has been trending over the last 24 hours. You see folks are starting to log on and get active in their workday here. And you'll notice that up here we have an anomalies. So this is an AI-driven feature that was just released with our Vancouver release, which is in real time doing AI anomaly-based detection, showing you where you might have spikes or valleys within your data. So you can see here at this moment in time, we did have an anomaly on user transaction. Probably nothing to be widely worried about in this particular example. And if we, again, continue to scroll down, this server response time is the one that we were looking at earlier. So you can see how the server has been responding over the last 24 hours. The anomalies tool is going to be able to highlight and pinpoint exactly where you saw anomalies in this particular category over the last 24 hours. So if we wanted to zoom in and get more detail, we can see here at this moment in time, the server response time did increase. So maybe there was a job that was running long or a queue that was getting backed up that we need to look at and continue to evaluate if we need to do anything to actually remediate an issue here. A ton of data across the board here. Another great report that folks are using quite often is our job details report. Again, I can select the instance. I can select the date range in which I want to kind of analyze. I can see the counts in the transaction count and the duration transactions of what's happening over the course of the time period that I've selected. Again, more importantly here, I want to look at the anomalies. So you can see here, early morning of the 27th, we had 10 anomalies that happened. If I wanted to get more details on these jobs, I can click on this bar right here and click on View Details. And this is actually going to show me exactly what was going on at this moment in time between 4 and 5 a.m. on the 27th. It's going to show you all of the jobs and the counts that were being executed at this moment in time. And then if I flip over to the anomalies tab, these are the 10 jobs that were firing anomalies that were performing outside of their normal ranges during this exact moment in time. So this async script job might be one that I want to start investigating as a platform owner or sysadmin. Alex, I'm going to quickly pause and ask a question over to you. Do you find yourself using one of these particular performance reports one more than the other? Or is there one that you would like me to highlight here?
For ours, I like looking at the database growth. I like looking at the user information. And with a couple that you mentioned before, the performance metrics, the server metrics, just to give me an idea of what is going on in that back end. What are the activities that our user base is triggering? And so it just allows me to get a good gauge on, what has been going on, before I came on. As I mentioned before, our user base is truly across the globe, from the Americas to EMEA to the Asia Pacific regions. And with our user base working around the clock, it allows me to get a good historical point of view of what's happened here in the last day or last several days.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It looks like I have an issue here on my demo instance on primary database. This should show a trended view over time on my date range of how these particular tables have been growing or decreasing. And then it'll also list out the specific tables. So I can come in here and see some statistics on which are my largest tables, which ones have been growing faster. This will really help, Alex, like you were mentioning, with your data management and potentially your archiving solutions. One of the other great features of Instance Observer that we talked about earlier is the ability to configure and set up alerts. So let me hop over. I want to highlight this feature. There are 27 metrics that we can configure alerts across the environments for. So you can see transactions or semaphore queue depth, event queues. There's just a ton of metrics that are available to configure and be alerted in a proactive stance specific to your instance. So we have here response time. For example, if I wanted to configure this alert, I just click on that card. We have ServiceNow recommendations. So each one of these alerts is going to come kind of with an out-of-the-box recommendation from ServiceNow. But we all know each instance is unique, each organization is unique. So you have the ability to kind of tailor and customize these alerts to make the most sense for your institution. Once you have the configuration set, you can actually test these alerts. So this is going to run a scenario over the last 7 days that will show you how many times this alert would have been triggered under the conditions that you had just set. So you can see here in this summary, I would have had 0 hits over the last 7 days for the criteria that was set on the prior screen. So maybe that's a little too high. Maybe I want to bring it down a little bit, or actually maybe this might be just right for my institution. From there, I can configure a notification rule. This is really going to define who and how are notified when this event or trigger were to be fired. So there's a variety of methods for communication. And let's flip over there and look at those and how we can actually notify our teams of alerts within the system. So here you can see we can email. So email is available to all tiers on Instance Observer, SMS, direct ServiceNow integration, and then third-party integrations are available to our advanced and total tier customers. So if you want to send out a text message to a group or do a third-party integration to another source, we have those functionalities to leverage a webhook and go directly to whichever third party you would like to. But again, this is a highly recommended, highly used feature of Instance Observer, putting you in a much more proactive stance to manage your platform health than what was traditionally a more reactive, waiting on users to kind of complain and send in tickets. Finally, I want to highlight our help section here. Help section has a great resource of video tutorials. Every metric that is documented or is leveraged in the product is documented here, along with KB knowledge articles on issue resolution. So if you see a spike in server response times, we're going to link you directly to a knowledge article on how to investigate and how to remediate across these various metrics. This is also where we'll put all of our release notes. So you can see release notes for 14.0. This is our latest Vancouver release where that AI anomaly detection capability came out, a handful of other great features. And we continuously iterate and develop on this product. We put out quarterly releases, so continuously pushing innovation on this product. And then finally, great resources for how to use the product, how to leverage the features and functionality to make sure that you're leveraging it most effectively to manage your day-to-day operations. So that's just a quick highlight of the power of Instance Observer on the Impact platform. Awesome. So before we go, I want to leave you with a handful of resources. Like I mentioned earlier, this recording from today's event is going to be made available on the Impact Community Forum. So make sure you log in there and can access this recording. You can visit us at servicenow.com/impact to learn a little bit more about ServiceNow and how it's going to benefit you in your particular role. And then if you want to deep dive into ServiceNow Impact, please jump over to Experience ServiceNow Impact and look and have a deep dive into all the features and functionality that are made available through the Impact product. Excellent. So with that, thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. Again, if you all of these resources are made available for you, this recording will be available at the end of the day. Alex, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Jeff, and thank you to ServiceNow team and along to everyone else that joined the webinar. Thank you all.
Thanks, folks.